On a Monday, we have cloudy skies. It kind of looks like a Monday if you're just not going, but I'm happy to see that we are noticing already some changes as we're heading towards and closer to the second half of the day. You will find some peaks of sun just starting to come into downtown. Overcast skies though, but a couple of breaks are allowing those sun rays through to give us some moments of some sun, yet some moments of some shade. So you can see there along Summit Street that things are a little bit divided as far as where we're picking up on that sun and where we do have the cloud cover. For today, skies will become partly cloudy. So though we had the cloudy start this morning, some sun will start to peek through as we go into the later portions of today, but we have cooler air that's going to be settling in. Highs are only going to be around 70 degrees. At this point in the season, we should be seeing highs that should be into the lower 80s. We're just not going to be there. Under those partly sunny skies, hopefully it can get us close to that number, but overall things have been a little bit cooler. Of course, that wind direction finally changing out of the northeast to where we are sourcing our air from. Well, thankfully not Quebec to where we don't have those smoky conditions, but also that's going to be playing with those temperatures as well. Finally, some rain. We picked up some rain on Sunday. Many of us finally had something in the rain gauge to pour out. It was the first rain that we had seen in the area since May 20th. So we were looking at nearly 3 weeks to where we hadn't seen any rain, as far as I mentioned, for many of us. At times, a couple of folks said, hey, I picked up a sprinkle. Hey, I saw 5 raindrops, anything like that. But really some much needed rain finally coming in time. It was definitely getting to be a little problemsome. And we're happy, though, to see that there are more rain chances coming in the forecast. But as far as the totals, they were a little spread out for some of us. And Cary, they picked up a healthy amount of rainfall. We're looking at nearly 4 in that rain gauge, so about 1.39. That's one of the larger numbers that we were able to see in our area. Findlay, though, coming in at 0.8 of an inch, so very helpful for the farmers there in Hancock County. In Sandusky, they had about a 1/2 inch, and in Toledo, you can see it's a little bit lighter, just over 0.3 of an inch in that rain gauge. And even into southeast Michigan, a lot of those reports were around 1/4, even up to towards 0.3 of an inch. So some of us picking up much needed rain, others not adding up to all that much, considering the deficit that we have as far as our water. So what's next? Are we talking more rain? Thankfully, we are looking at more rain in our forecast. You're going to find on Tuesday more rain finally, and even could be another healthy douse of rain to be moving in. We're talking about a 1/2 inch to be possible for some of us. It is still very much needed. We are still playing catch up, and we will be for a while. But as far as our farmers, it's definitely a day-by-day situation. So to be seeing that we do have the chance for some rain, it will be some catch up, but it's definitely going to be a lot of work considering the deficit that we are in. Now, as far as what we have going on in the atmosphere, we have this low pressure that's going to be off towards our west as we go into this evening. So the clouds from this morning and the rainfall from yesterday, well off towards our east. I'm a little bit early in time, like I said, 8 o'clock. So you will find that the clouds were actually into the dry slot of the storm. So that will allow us to pick up some sun as we go into the afternoon and evening. But overnight, the clouds start to thicken, and as this rotates counterclockwise, it still has moisture that's spinning around the center of the storm, and that's going to line us up to where we will have this bottom portion of rainfall to be swung into northwest Ohio and southeast Michigan as we go through the day on Tuesday. So that's why you are going to find even into the morning, we kind of have this line of showers that pushes in. No severe weather along this line, and this is going to stay even as we go into the afternoon. With that low pressure almost overhead, just a little bit further north, it is still going to be enough to keep some scattered showers in, and then another round as we go into the later half of tomorrow. So we do look at least a few rounds of rain as the system spins around, and we'll take a little bit of rain. I know we haven't talked about it all that much, so we will be looking at finally some water into the area. As we go into Wednesday night, though, and the system starts to pull out, a lot of that rain is sourced off towards our south, and that's going to continue then to push eastward with that big red L. Now, as far as the rain totals, what are we looking at? I kind of mentioned that we are looking at a 1/2 inch of rainfall. As we go into Tuesday morning, you can see that the rain just starting to get there, so not a lot at that point. But as we go into the later half of Tuesday, kind of looking at the whole system and what it can bring, of course, with that second round into the later half of tomorrow is going to bring some higher amounts further south. So upper Sandusky, Ottawa, Findlay, Tiffin, those southern counties, you are going to be seeing a little bit more rain in your rain gauge than what we're going to be finding for folks in the metro, in and right along southeast Michigan, the state line, and even towards Lake Erie. So that's going to be a real pivot point to watch, is where that rain sits, because that's going to determine who sees maybe even beyond that half-inch mark, though many will be around a quarter, maybe up to a half-inch of that rainfall. So, of course, as you have those rain totals, make sure you share them with us. Of course, we always want to know what's going on as far as those local neighborhoods, and continue to keep an eye on the deficit as far as the rain. You'll find those rain chances. We do find them to be highest on Tuesday, a dry day on Wednesday, back at it with that second round of rain along a cold front on Thursday, and then mainly dry weather for Friday, Saturday. An isolated shower on Saturday. That's why we have that 20% chance there. But you'll find Sunday we are eyeing some rain. So finally the pattern is switching to where we do actually see a little more frequency as far as rain coming from the sky. Big change of pace. And now, as far as the next couple of days, we had just a few chances that we do see some isolated showers popping up as we have that sun that comes out. So we'll be keeping an eye to that, though much of the day will be dry. Tuesday is our soaker day, a little bit cooler than today. We do slip into the upper 60s. So just be mindful that this is quite a bit cooler for what we should have in June. Again, we should be talking 80s, and we don't even have 80s as we go later this week. You'll find that we are dry Wednesday, but the rain chances on Thursday are still going to keep those high temperatures on the lower end. Even our high temperature trend, you'll find that here during this time, we're into the 60s and 70s, but the colors start to warm up for us. So we will be into the low, even towards the mid 80s for the weekend and into early next week. So some summer conditions do return. This is just a break right now that we don't have to run our air conditioning. Even looking further out into the forecast, this takes us to mid-June, to even the later portions of the month, and you will see that we are trending just a bit above average as far as what we expect for those temperatures. So continue to keep an eye on that WTOL 11 weather app to be watching not only the rain chances, but those highs. You can use the daily tab there in the app. Of course, we'll be using radar just like we were yesterday, but since we are talking about a little more frequency as far as those rain chances, you can use radar. You're able to zoom in, zoom out, use all those different tools. So make sure you have the app downloaded. That's free to grab off of the Google Play Store, Apple App Store. All you have to do is search WTOL 11 weather. On our extended forecast, a little bit cooler this week, well below average, with upper 60s to 70s, and then those rain chances for tomorrow and Thursday. We do have some sun in between, and even this afternoon we will pick up some sun. You'll see for the weekend, looking mainly dry until Sunday, when we have our next chance for that hose to be turned back on. Then we do have dry weather for the end of this forecast, as highs are going to be headed up into the low to mid 80s. So of course, we'll be keeping an eye to how much heat we get, but also as we're playing catch up finally with some rain in the forecast, we'll be looking at the data and as far as those dry and drought conditions that we have in Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan.